The recent landmark Cowichan decision of the Supreme Court of British Columbia found that Aboriginal title existed over hundreds of acres of privately owned lands. But while the court invalidated the ownership of certain lands owned by the City of Richmond and the Government of Canada, it didn't invalidate the land ownership of private landowners. So what happens next for these approximately 50 landowners? For now, according to the court, the declaration of Cowichan's Aboriginal title can coexist with private interests of landowners. Essentially, the court says that the finding of Aboriginal title is a legal determination, but doesn't change how the lands can be used as a matter of fact. If the Cowichan decide they want to exercise the rights to Aboriginal title, they'll need to go back to court and ask the court to set aside the private landholders' interests. These private landholders would potentially have the opportunity to raise defenses to Aboriginal title, which may include arguments that Aboriginal title had been extinguished prior to the enactment of the Constitution Act of 1982, or that Aboriginal title had been justifiably infringed. However, many of these defenses were raised by the municipal, provincial, and federal government defendants in the Cowichan decision, and they failed. Next, the court would look at equitable considerations. It may consider the circumstances around how the lands were lost by the First Nation and acquired by the private owners. Ultimately, it'll be open to the court to decide whether to invalidate the landowner's private property interest. The court concluded its reasons by saying, quote, "Reconciliation does not mean Indigenous peoples must always sacrifice their right to their established interests in land. Fee simple interests in land are not superior to Aboriginal title." End quote. Now we'll have to see how the Cowichan decision is addressed on appeal, but for now the suggestion that private landholdings, potentially going back a century, may be invalidated due to a finding of Aboriginal title will have significant impacts on how property rights in British Columbia and Canada more generally are perceived.